Hi, everyone. I am Bridget Augusta, and I'm so excited to go live today to discuss some things that I've been very passionate about. And those things are happiness and positive psychology and elevating these through simple behaviors and natural sources. And I'm actually joined here today with one of my partners, Amanda, who shares some of the same passions for sharing it with others.
Hi guys, I'm Amanda Stockdale. Happy to be here. We'll take a moment to let a few of you join live. We'd love to hear where you're joining from. And if you're joining via replay, welcome. So just when you jump on, just post what you're doing and where you're from, and we'll love to hear about all your comments. So we'll let you kind of jump on for a little bit here as we kind of get started.
So we'll let some people get started. I think right now I got to apologize in advance because sometimes I do talk with my hands, so you may see them. My lighting's not the best, but my daughter was painting my nails today for me. So they are, you probably can't see in the lighting very well, but they're bright blue and it's all over she didn't color within the lines very well, so I got some cleanup to do. I've never done blue fingernails before. So it's a little out of my comfort zone a little bit, but
Wow.
heck, she wanted to do it and it looked more like one of her princesses, I guess. So we're gonna go with some blue fingernail polish today. So
Looks good.
what's
See?
the funkiest ever color of nail polish you've ever done?
I'm not really a nail polish person, but when I went to Jamaica, I wanted like a shimmery gold. I can't even think of what it'd be called now. Well, the color that I picked was kind of that color, but then the undercolor they did was like bright orange. So I had these like crazy orange fingernails and toenails, and I'm not one of those type of people. So I was like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is not me, but it's a fun aqua blue and it's actually perfect for an event that I'm going to this weekend. I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Dallas and I'm so very excited. We'll be going to a happiness convention. We'll be joining a lot of our friends there. And so, yeah, so super excited. But the nails will kind of go with the theme for the happiness convention. So we just got to do some cleanup before I go. So anyway, we are letting everybody kind of join in so we can get some people in. If you are here, let us know where you're from. I see Tony from Las Vegas. And so, yeah, just let us know where you're coming in from and we'll join here in just a moment. And if you guys are in the Midwest like we are, we have been hammered with rain, I think, for the last 3 days. So we've had, I've seen a couple of comments from different people throughout the day on Facebook that people are just looking for some sunshine. So hopefully what we have to share today is a little bit of that sunshine that people are looking for.
Yes, exactly.
So we'll go ahead and get started. I think what's that?
I said, yeah, I was just happy to go outside and not be poured on today.
I know. Yeah, I guess it's good for everything, but it's actually nice to have some of those rainy days because it keeps you inside and I was able to get some of my organizing done that I've been wanting to do. So, okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. And I just want to say thanks again for everyone for joining in. We've been sharing happiness conversations through our various networks the last few months and wanted to just take some time for Amanda and I to join forces and hop on quick to share some of the things that we've learned and what excites us the most.
Yeah, so anyone that kind of followed us previously should know that, we have a passion of sharing things, sharing conversations well before they're mainstream. For example, keto. We've been sharing that news and research for quite a while. I've been doing keto for a year and Bridget, quite a few years now. And, when we started sharing that was like, oh, keto, and now you can't go anywhere without seeing, hearing, or reading about a ketogenic diet, ketones, ketosis, etc. But we're not here to talk about that. We just kind of wanted you to know that we're here bringing you something fresh again. So
Yeah, and so we're again in front of a global trend that we're really excited about. And believe it or not, it's happiness and positive psychology. And so if you haven't realized it yet, it is a global happiness movement. Like, I mean, there's actually a movement around happiness, if you knew that or not. And we have a couple products, and we call it Dose. And Dose is a product that we have come across that is going to elevate your happiness hormones. And we are both very, very fascinated about how the brain works, and with the science behind it. And we just wanted to share some of the tidbits of things that we are learning about that will be able to help you and others that you know who may need to elevate their own happiness.
Yeah. Exactly. And I know, we've all been touched by stress and anxiety and depression in some form. Stress is daily, right? Even things that we don't even consider stress is stressful. And unfortunately, we've all been impacted by a lot of this, whether it's suicide or depression yourself, or for somebody else in your family, a close family member or a friend. Even in the news, all the unexpected celebrity suicides lately we've been hearing about. And we just kind of digging in with what we've been learning and going into this happiness conversation. Some of the statistics out there are just pretty crazy and fantastic as far as what's going on, So we were looking, and since 2006, they have some statistics about the number of patients admitted to the ER for mental health complaints, and those have increased 50% since 2006, with the number of suicide attempts in the ER up 414%. So that's pretty tragic, sad numbers to think of. They're kind of unreal to think of, but it's actually our reality. Beyond that, just 2/3 of Americans describe themselves as unhappy, and 50% of them are dissatisfied with their job. And we just want to be able to change those statistics, Bridget and I, and the whole happy conversation. So, happy people, we change ourselves, and we can change it globally then too.
Yeah, I think that, as much as, we want to be happy and joyful all the time, right now, personally, my family, we are remembering a very dear friend and father this week who left us way too soon 3 years ago due to mental illness. So it never gets easier for anyone. And, so that is something that does drive me, and, helping to have this conversation, because there's so many people that are feeling the effects of that, whether it, them dealing with it personally, or the mental illness, depression, stress, anxiety, all of that. There's so many people that are dealing with that. And as you just mentioned, the healthcare, system, I actually had a police officer, a friend of ours, that talked about, there's so often that he will be, helping somebody, and they're in the hospital, and they let them go, and then they just find that they come back in a couple of days, and it's because people are not getting the care or support that they need to get through that. So, hearing that these things really make you want to spread the happy dose as much as we can. And recently I just read in an airline magazine that there was an article that was titled "Who Says You Can't Buy Happiness?" And it was about the growing investments that are being made to create mobile apps. And those mobile apps are designed to make you feel better about your life. And in fact, it's becoming its own market. Like, happiness is becoming its own market. And they are calling it mindfulness and wellness, or mind training. And so you may have seen some of those apps. They're called, there's one that's called Happify. I'm trying to think of some other ones, but these companies know that people are spending way too much time browsing through things on social media, and that don't add any value, and want to provide an alternative for people to use of that mind share, so that they can spend more time on the positive. Versus looking at other, people and the, getting, there's that competitiveness and all that. So it takes time and it takes work to reshape your mind and blocking out those negative thoughts and influences that are around us. And they actually put a figure on what this market is. And so are you ready to hear it, what this market is as far as a value for it? So it is $750 billion. So we are in front of a $750 billion industry about happiness. And, there's a market for it. And so it's pretty exciting for us, and the products that we have that we're representing is in front of that happiness movement. And that moment is now. And Amanda and I are super, super excited to be a part of it with the Happy Dose.
Wow. And that's a crazy amount of money, and so just thinking of that's actual like dollar bills, reminds us of also all the other costs that are out there just for, trying to be happy. A lot of times we put success in front of happiness, thinking that we have to be successful in order to have happiness, when the reality is that it's the other way around. So what we end up doing when we're seeking success is we work late nights and we just become disconnected from others. We're struggling to balance the demands of work, school, family, and the results of that is burnout, anxiety, depression, and lastly, a lot of that chronic stress is linked to a lot of chronic diseases. You also have the habits that can get formed from that, like trying to escape that stress. So we get drinking and smoking, overeating, all of those also to cause, those long-term health risks. So, and what's just crazy is that inflammation, they've done some of these long-term studies. So the inflammation, that chronic inflammation that's there is linked really aggressively to a lot of those chronic diseases. Cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, autoimmune disorders, asthma, arthritis, and obesity and metabolic syndrome. What's crazy to have kind of discovered about that is that only 5% of those diseases are genetic, and instead the 95% of them stem from our daily lifestyle choices and the chronic stress that, is adhered to that over time. So, we don't even realize all the tiny little stresses that you can have, but you can be driving home and you get stopped at a stoplight and you're like, oh, I need to get there, and oh, this person. And so all those little tiny things are just daily stresses that we are combating, daily and constantly. The other part of it too is that we may know how to handle or combat some of these stresses, and that's the key, and that's kind of why we're here kind of talking about today. But we also have to make them a habit. So we have to go from kind of our unconscious to our conscious, because if we don't make it a habit with some of these tips that we're kind of talking about, then it's kind of just going to revert back to that unconscious, you're just spinning the wheels, and that stress is going to be there and build.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really takes a toll on you, and a lot of times it creeps up on you. I think that, everybody is just pulled in so many different directions nowadays, and they may not even realize how stressed they are. It feels like it's just normal everyday life. And then, sooner or later, these things creep up on you and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was that bad. I'm currently enjoying a 4-week sabbatical. I've been blessed with that benefit with the company I'm with. And so I'm taking this time just to get grounded and recentered with my family and what's important, and, helping me, find ways to reduce my own stress, so that, you can be, more productive and more effective in what you do, with your family and in your job and all of that. So it's really exciting to be able to take that time to do that. And, we all know that there's no such thing as a stress-free life in this day and age. And so that's where I found it vital to take and share with everyone the Dose products that we have. And we can explain more of those things offline. And today we really want to talk about, some ways that you can reduce stress. But I will share really quick is we have a couple products that actually help your brain release happy hormones, and those happy hormones are dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And as I've done some research and read different things, on depression and different articles of people who have dealt with mental illness, is there's a lot of either medications that they are taking or, the daily stresses where your brain actually is no longer able to release these happy hormones on their own. And if that's negative thoughts or whatever, it's like your brain is being programmed or trained to no longer release these happy hormones, whether it's PTSD, whether it's, whatever it might be. It's that, whatever factors it is, your brain is actually no longer able to release these happy hormones. So it's really nice to know that there are supplements that you can take, or the products that we have and what we offer actually help your brain relearn, if you will, how to release these happy hormones, so that you can get yourself in a better state of mind and help yourself, find that chemical balance that your brain needs to be better efficient and to have a better frame of mind. So. Amanda, do you have any thoughts on, or can you share some of the things that you have found to help reduce stress and create more happiness?
Yeah, so digging in and kind of being introduced to dose, I think everybody needs to take advantage of it and see what it's all about, because even with the tips and the stress, it can still be there. So it's definitely a for sure way to increase your happiness hormones through dose. But once you kind of get involved in this community and this, this information and this knowledge, and you start kind of digging in, there's lots and lots of articles and things and research that you can do for reading. But I did kind of condense them down into some 6 quick tips to help reduce your stress and elevate your happiness. There's so many out there and so many things. So I kind of just made it into the simplest ones. A lot that we can implement maybe a little bit easily. But so number 1 is just getting moving. So exercise, we all know exercise is good for us. It's just hard to do sometimes. So as kind of a personal trainer and advocate for fitness and exercise, I usually say, don't aim so big, like you have to go 5 days a week for an hour to the gym. Just movement of any kind. So aiming for 15 minutes, even 1 day a week, and you build up from there. It's going to not put you down into that spiral of stress and negativity. It's going to give you that positive outlook that, hey, I can do this. I have 7 days to go one time, and it doesn't have to be to a gym, so don't get too specific on them. But we all know that exercise can reduce our levels of stress hormones, the adrenaline and the cortisol that we release. And just having a variety, you just want it to be above and beyond kind of your typical day. So people will say, oh, I walk at work all the time, but your body's used to that. So you just need to be able to move beyond kind of your typical day. Variety, fun ways to get in movement. I've had people where, you sit, I go home from work and I just sit there. So if you set a timer every hour, and every hour you got up and just walked around the house, or, went outside for 2 seconds, all that stuff's going to add up, and it's just going to help release those feel-good endorphins.
Yeah, I think too, just to add on that is, some of the dose products that we've talked about, for me and the things that I've experienced so far, well, we have a couple different ways that we could really help you have a good pre-workout. So when you actually are working out, you just feel like going, like you're just on fire. It's really one of those you have to feel to believe it. But I will say that one of the dose products that we have and we offer is it flips a switch in the brain where it almost like creates this new motivation. And again, you have to feel it to believe it, but it just makes you want to move more, and it makes you like want to just clean closets, or makes you just want to like get and doing things. I found it extremely helpful in the winter months with the seasonal effectiveness disease, or the SAD, what they call SAD. It just creates this motivation to do things, or kind of flips that switch for me, or that light bulb on for me, is the best way to describe that. So there are ways that you can use some of these supplements to help you either get a better workout, or to help create or give you that motivation that you need, because sometimes you just need to get started and you need to get that motivation. Otherwise you're in that same old trap that or that same old rut that you keep falling back into. So that's what's really nice about some of these products that allows you to do that. So
yep. And that can go too with kind of like, so step number 1 of get moving. Step number 2 would be kind of talk it out, get a buddy. So same thing, get a buddy to go with you to the gym or a workout buddy to go with. But we all just need to have somebody to talk to face to face or on the phone, not just through text or through messaging. You can just really interpret somebody's voice through their tone of voice and how they're communicating to you that way. So just finding a friend, a family member, somebody professional like a coach or a therapist, anybody to talk to about what's stressing you out. Sometimes just talking with others gives you a different perspective on the experience, so you can realize, you're not alone. And if you're like me and you go home and you're talking to your husband and, men speak blue and women speak pink. And so he wants to solve my problems and I just want him to listen. So just kind of setting that stage sometimes too, like, hey, I just need to vent, if you're just talking to somebody, knowing that person just knows that they just need to lend the ear, that helps tremendously too. But just being able to get that stuff off your chest helps so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever seen, you'll have to YouTube it sometime, but there's a video, it's called It's Not About the Nail. So you'll have to YouTube it. It's not about the nail, and it's about the partner. He's trying to solve it for her and she just wants to talk about it. So I would like to add too, is just, the community that we are a part of is, being part of a community that with like-minded people also helps, because when you are involved with like-minded people who want to elevate your positivity and who want to, encourage you to be better and do better and all of that, that makes a big difference too. So, if you're not part of a good community, or if you're around a lot of like negative people and things like that, highly encourage people to get involved in communities and networks like ours. We have one that I'm so happy to have found, because I am with like-minded people like Amanda, and there's so many others that, it just feels good to be around you guys. So, really encourage you to look at that community as well, because it is something that, it certainly helps to have like-minded people to go through your journey and to be able to talk through the situation with people that understand and know what your end goal is, and that is to elevate your happiness.
Right. I totally agree with that with this community. I've had people, reach out to me and ask me for support on things, and it feels like, oh, okay, well, I'm kind of the leader on this. Well, that's kind of cool, and same thing, like I can reach out to anybody and just ask them questions or, ask for help or advice. So it's been a great community, that's for sure. So my tip number 3 then would be to take time to relax, being grateful, kind of finding the positive when there are those negatives going on. So just finding your ways to get your mind off your day-to-day things that cause you stress, music, meditation, prayer, quiet time. Practice being grateful over those positive things, like I said, and trying to reflect upon the best part of each day rather than on those negatives or what wasn't accomplished. Sometimes we also go with, I didn't get this done, but think of all the things that you did get done. When you go through those stressful spouts, take time to relax, respond with some deep breathing, getting into a quiet place that's free from distractions, and just, close the eyes, take yourself and give yourself some me time. That's is a huge tip as well, just to kind of relax all that cortisol and bring in those happy hormones.
That's awesome. I know this weekend at this convention, this happiness convention, Sean Achor is going to be there, and he is a well-known positive psychology expert, and he's really fascinating. I've seen him already, but he's all about positive psychology and finding those ways to be grateful and all that. But one thing that he talks about is the greatest competitive, and this was really fascinating to me, is the greatest competitive advantage that we have is in the modern economy is to have a positive and engaged brain. So if you think about that, like and if you come to work every day, or if you whatever you do, the greatest competitive advantage that you have is to have a positive and engaged brain. And so, if we could, help, other, people do that, what would their jobs be like, and what will the impact to their coworkers be like, and all of that. So I think that's really cool and exciting, that he will be there. But, he is one that is engaged with our company and is helping, along with a lot of other trainers that we have that really focus on the positive psychology, because it's not just the supplements or the people, but it's the mindset and how you get the mind right. My shirt actually says mind over matter right now, but it's really about how do you reframe the situation that you are going through and find the positive versus, the negative, because that only is going to spiral. And we kind of already talked about that, is how that can spiral out of control. And so, whatever you can do to keep a positive mindset in whatever situation is only going to help things and the people that are around you.
Right, exactly. Yep. It's totally mind over matter. And sometimes we put the matter first, Our tip number 4 is to eat better. So we all know we should choose the carrot over the Kit Kat bar. But we, and we don't have to totally change your diet, but we can improve it. We all know we can improve, those highly processed foods, those things high in sugar and salt, and other processed carbohydrates. They're just not those good, vitamins and minerals that your body wants. They're processed. They're not real food. That sugar can crash you, so you go through that high and then you go through that crash, and the salt can dehydrate you. And so in general, those types of foods are just robbing, that cortisol is robbing your body of vitamins. Like, it needs those vitamins to do all these processes. So it's just robbing your body of the vitamins that you need. So if you can eat natural whole foods whenever possible, also drinking plenty of water, because most of us are dehydrated. So when you're dehydrated, your brain, is also dehydrated and you're not functioning as well. So it just really comes down to trying to eat real food, real ingredients, and giving your body those vitamins and minerals that they need that will help naturally boost your mood.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, with the Dose products, I think for me, and what I love about the Dose products is, because of these happy hormones that are being released, your brain is being stimulated by something. So for me, being addicted to carbs and sugar, the addiction is almost gone. Like, I don't even think about it. And it's because my brain is being stimulated by these happy hormones through, other natural sources. And so the thought of sugar and carbs has just gone away. So like, we could probably do a whole segment just on intermittent fasting. And I know that that's a buzzword right now, and it's something that you do and I like to do as well, or try to. But, intermittent fasting is one of those things that a lot of people try to do, but it's hard to do. And I have found with our Dose products, I can go, virtually all day and do the intermittent fasting and eat just in a small window. And even then, I'm like, I don't even think about it. And so that's what's really nice about these happy hormones, is because they are stimulating the brain. So it's no longer seeking out other things to keep it happy, basically. And so it makes, that intermittent fasting so much easier. And, I would love to probably do another segment with you just on that, because it's so beneficial for the body. And, maybe that if there's enough interest, maybe we can, look at doing that the next one.
Yes, let us know. Exactly. Yeah, it does definitely help with that. The products help with that. And, so you are naturally boosting those hormones on one thing, and then your brain, it really does that control center of your brain, versus most, we'll say, weight loss products are looking at your gut, make you feel full. This is making you think, it's changing it in the brain. So that's what's really nice. So my tip number 5 is sleep. So we all know we need to get some sleep, get your Z's. it's not always about just getting the amount of sleep, but also the quality of sleep. So, in the past 100 years, it shows we're getting 20% less sleep than we did 100 years ago. I've just saw some people the other day posting that they average about 4 hours of sleep a day. And that's, just kind of crazy to think. And I know it's reality for some people, but we really need to be aiming to get that 7 to 8 hours of sleep. A lot of hormonal processes are happening when you get into those deep sleeps, that's going to help you with lowering that cortisol again, that naughty C word. And basically what we're trying to do is just get you to focus on getting into some good sleep routines. If you're trying to get into that, if you can find a good time that you always go to bed, a good time that you always get up, you get into a routine, your body will start kind of catching on to that a little bit better. Also freeing the bedroom of technology and TV as much as possible. Avoiding napping during the day, that's a huge one. A lot of people, I sleep terrible, but they take a 2-hour nap. Well, let's try not taking that 2-hour nap, Eating and increasing the heart rate kind of right before bed, usually in general, like an hour or two before bed, can make it harder for you to fall asleep as well. And that's just also a good time, like we talked before, to take time to relax. So that's a good time to meditate and pray and give gratitude, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I found from the Dose products that we've gotten a lot of different testimonies on sleep and how, people are just getting really good sleep. Like, I love my sleep. And I get really good sound sleep. So, one thing is, you can, sleep, but you may not get sound sleep. And there's a big difference. And I have noticed, and I've heard a lot of testimonies that, people are sleeping better, but then they're also waking up earlier. So I've never really been a morning person, and I've always been like a really night owl. But I find that and there is, scientific reasons why some of our products are helping, but it helps with the circadian rhythm. And so it helps you get to bed and wake up earlier. So when I wake up, like I get really sound sleep, but I'm ready to go in the morning. And I'm waking up earlier, although I'm on vacation a little bit, so I'm sleeping a little bit more. But I'm waking up and I'm ready to go in the morning. And so that's really, and that makes a difference because, again, with your stress and things at work, if you're not getting good sleep, how can you function well at work? And how can you actually be pleasant with your coworkers? So, getting good sleep and, establishing those routines that you kind of talked about does help so that you can get through the day and be more tolerable to all of those that you impact throughout the day, and especially your family. So,
yeah, exactly. I was one of those people that pressed snooze, 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 and still dragged my butt out of bed, And so now it's just nice most times I'm waking up before my alarm. If my alarm's not super early. For those workout gals, been getting up at 5 for some of them a couple days a week. So you're welcome, girls. But it's not too bad. I actually kind of joked the other day, it's not much different than 6 in the morning. It kind of all feels the same once you get out of bed. But my last tip would be just to get some tech-free time. So, trying to remove all of our stuff is on our cell phones usually these days. So we're sitting there in front of it. So just trying to plan some time of your day that maybe you just put it away, set it aside. It could be before bed, like what we talked about for the sleep. At dinner time, you'll see people in front of, going out to a restaurant and back and forth. And, I'm guilty of it too. You get a text and you go on, and pretty soon you're mindlessly scrolling through Facebook and you're on LinkedIn, you're this and you're that, and you're checking all these notifications. And then you realize, you just went on there to check the weather tomorrow. So it's that mindless scrolling that we just get into, and it's unfortunate. It's just kind of that smartphone error, that era that we're in. But the constant checker, we account for about 43% of Americans. So about 43% of Americans are constantly checking their phone. A fifth of us actually consider our phone a stressor. If it's not working or for whatever reason, it's just, constantly beeping or buzzing. So we just need to remove it when we can. The other thing is we can get into that whole comparison game. A lot of people are going to just post things or post the goods and the positives. And, you can be sitting here feeling like I could be sitting here feeling like a bad mom because, I don't take my kid on those types of vacations, like, I can't afford those, or, I don't do that. So it's that comparison game that we just make ourselves feel worse instead of better. And, we want to obviously promote feeling better versus worse. So if we can kind of remove yourself from that a little bit, then that will help definitely. So, instead of being on the phone, just mindlessly scrolling, if you feel like you need, it's a good reminder to feel like if you need to connect with somebody, that tip before of going and finding somebody to talk to is call somebody, get on the phone, see if you can get together, go out to eat, just build those strong relationships that you need again, There's 65% of us that identify that we do need to get rid of our technology, but only about 28% of us actually do that. So it's one thing to know what to do, and it's another to actually do it. So really just, again, baby steps and just trying to start off simply, of making those habits. But these are just some simple tips that you can really incorporate into your day very simply. And even if it's just one thing at a time, it all helps.
It's because we're addicted. And we're teaching our kids to be the same way. Unfortunately, I know my kids are we have to practice, downtime on that as well. But, there's the games. I mean, there's a game right now that's out there, Fortnite. I know my teenage boys are all about that. And, they've designed these games to create these adrenaline and the dopamine, and, it actually help, the kids are releasing this. And, and it's one of those things where when they come off of it, they're in this like adrenaline rush and this high from the technology. And then when they're not on their technology, everything is boring to them. And so we have to kind of, provide some balance for them so that we ourselves need to do it and practice, the downtime from it. But then also, we have an obligation to our kids to also do that, because they need to learn how to lift their head up and have conversations with people, because, as you mentioned at dinner, I had, a couple of teenage boys with us the other day, and they're all heads down, and it's like, they don't know how to have just regular conversations. Their conversations, snapping pictures of the ceiling or snapping a picture of a cup. I mean, that's their conversation right now.
With words on it.
I know. So, it's one of those things. And, again, it's an addiction. And so if the dose products that we have can help fulfill an addiction, or, stimulate the brain in a way that they don't feel like maybe they need that as much, and get them outside and get them, to do other things, that's only going to help as well. And, it's really interesting, that stat that you talked about, how, 65% of the people, know that they need to get away from it, but they don't, because they're addicted to it. I think sometimes, when you mentioned, just looking for the weather, it's like, how often do we go somewhere and we're like looking at something? It's like ADHD. Like, you're just like, you're looking for something, and it's just like, then like 10 minutes later, you're like, gosh, what was I even needing? And then like an hour later, you're like, oh yeah, I was supposed to find the address for, XYZ or whatever it was. And, we just get so sidetracked.
Yep. You go to look for the weather, and there's 8 notifications that you check, and then you're like, what was I doing?
It's sad. It's sad.
That's why if you can just plan some time away from it, that it's planned, it's totally, it's amazing. Everybody needs to do it. I've implemented it and I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much, Amanda. I know, it seems so simple, but we know it isn't always easy. And it's just, I just add that it may help to take baby steps. So we can't change everything all at once. Try one of these areas and make it a habit and build into it. And once you have a greater control of that, you'll already feel less stressed just by having control in one or two areas. So just take some baby steps and go from there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm excited to have jumped on here live with you, and just wanted to share kind of those things that we're learning as we've kind of dived into this community that we love, and just wanted to share it with everybody else. So we're excited for all of you guys to be on here, and we're really excited that we want to invite all you guys, and we want to, before we close, just quickly invite and remind you guys to reach out to either of us for more information about our Happy Dose combo. It's the product combo that helps your brain release the 4 happiness hormones naturally, which we've talked about. So DOSE, stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Something our brain will struggle to release naturally when we're stressed. Bridget, you've talked about some amazing testimonies. We have some amazing testimonies that are out there that people have felt like the one-of-a-kind benefits from DOSE. And, we just know that we're leading this happiness conversation. And when I see some people, post in our group or talk about, will post something or message me, it just fills my heart. Like, it's just amazing of how amazing this product has changed their lives for, their happiness.
Yeah, it's so exciting to be a part of it. And so we'll wrap up for now, but if you want to take either of us up on the offer that Amanda talked about to test DOSE, either comment below or private message one of us for the invite and some of our special offers. We're excited to share those with you. And I'm sure we'll come back on again and talk about some other things. I know we've already talked about a couple of things today that could be potential, topics that might be valuable for you all. So please also let us know, what things that you valued the most. And I would say too is, go ahead and hit share if you got value out of this conversation. If you know somebody that this might help, we would love to have you share this with your friends and family, and we would love to help them as well.
Yeah, thanks for letting me jump on with you, Bridget. This was really fun. I'm super excited to share this happiness movement with you and with everybody else. So thanks for letting me share some of those tips. Like I said, there's tons of things out there, so just start small. And we're just excited to see what the future holds for everyone out there that gets a hold of us and decides to take advantage of this happiness movement like we have, and just go for it. If you have questions, just reach out. Don't hesitate. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Just do it.
Right? Sounds good. Oh, it's so good to talk with you tonight, Amanda.
Yep,
we'll see you later.
Right. Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.